Hey YouTube, how's it going? It's been kind of a while since I've made a proper video blog, but was kind of burnt out a little bit after last summer just between making these vlogs, which I had no idea how to make, and was like figuring out something new, and it was a little bit stressful and weird to put my face on YouTube and all that. Then firing our drummer, and then we recorded a new song. It was just kind of a busy time, and then I started school again, like another, finished up summer break, started another semester of school, and that just took a lot of my time, and I was just, didn't have a lot to report, to be honest with you. We were kind of just recording some new material, but not much new was going on. But I just got this fancy new 4K camera, so now you get to look at my face in a shitload of pixels and really good resolution. And the settings right now are whatever the fuck they are. I don't know how to use this thing yet, so I'm looking at the screen and it looks fine, so it'll be fine. I think today I wanted to talk about measuring your success on a particular project. I mean, in this case, things like songwriting or finding new members, recording songs. Measuring success in terms of quality as opposed to volume, meaning doing more of the thing, or speed, doing it faster. So the way this kind of came to me, this is one of the things I learned last year. It took me years to figure this out, but this is an experience I had last year, and oddly enough, it was through sleeping. So like historically, like when I was a kid and kind of in high school or whatever, like I fucking never slept. I would sleep like 4 to 6 hours a night. I mean, that's not never, but that's not a shitload, especially when you're a kid. So I was just used to being tired all the fucking time. And especially when I got to college and I started making this band and I worked at a startup and I did all these things that were sort of work intense. Going without sleep was like a virtue to me. I was like proud of myself for going to bed at 3 and waking up at 7 like every fucking day. So I used to barely sleep basically so I could do more. What I realized at some point was that being tired all the goddamn time was fucking taking away from the quality of my work. So if I was tired, that was energy, that was like inherently less energy that I had to put towards schoolwork, band stuff, business stuff, whatever. So my work was actually shittier. So yeah, I was awake longer, or I was doing more, but my work wasn't as good. It didn't necessarily suck, but it wasn't as good as it could have been. And that means that I had to start looking at what qualified as good work or what qualified as success in a completely different way. There's like this virtue that we have in America, in the West. I don't know. In these success cultures, going without sleep and doing more is like a virtue. I think the reason people think about it that way is that being awake or doing more, or I'm using the example with sleep, but let's just call it doing more. Doing more is something you can quantify. So like, if I am only sleeping 6 hours a night, that's 2 hours more of work. So that's inherently better, right? Except that's just what you can quantify. But what about what you can qualify? Qualify meaning something that's more abstract. That's what I think is more important, is measuring success in a particular task in terms of quality. There's a certain vulnerability that comes from doing less. And like I said, because you can quantify your hours worked, or you can quantify volume and speed, you feel like you're inherently working harder and doing better. And working harder is cool and important, but what is the point of working harder if your work sucks? Both in terms of in terms of you not enjoying it, but also like just the quality of your work. I mean, whether it's learning something in school or writing a fucking song, I'm focusing for the purposes of this vlog on things like songwriting. If you write a shitload of songs, but they all suck, or you're not, it's a little bit subjective, but you're not proud of them, you're not happy with the result, then what was the point? Now, in terms of songwriting, I will say this. This kind of conflicts with a video that I made last year where I said making something is better than making nothing. And I still think that's true. Here's the difference. Making something is better than making nothing. Yeah, so if you're not making shit, you need to make something. The quality issue comes later. That's when doing something is better than doing nothing. But if you're already writing a bunch of songs, then you can start to think, okay, how do I optimize for quality rather than volume, like writing more songs, or speed, which was a big thing for me for a while. Just like, I just want to write more songs, or I just want to write them faster. That's fine sometimes, but I want to write good songs. So as I said earlier, I don't think measuring success in terms of volume, how much you're doing, or speed, how quickly you're doing it, is as good as measuring your success on a task. I'm not talking about life success. I mean, maybe this applies, but I'm actually just talking about sort of like the micro. Measuring it in terms of quality. How good is your work? How good is your work, and how much did you enjoy doing it? What did you actually get out of it? I noticed, for example, if I was trying to just do as much as I could, the only metric of success that I was using was how much did I get done. And that's fine sometimes, but then you're not doing the work in a way that you actually enjoy it. You're not doing it in a way that optimizes for any other element, like how much are you, if you're like doing schoolwork, how much are you retaining, how much are you learning. It was just all about how much should I get done, how quickly, can I do more? My results were actually worse because the only thing I cared about was doing more. So I would skip over or not notice certain things that would be measured in terms of quality. Doing more sounds inherently better than doing less. I mean, it's like if you focus more on quality, but you do less, like in terms of total output or total hours worked or whatever the fuck, that sounds like you're doing less. Like that sounds like you're doing less than the guy next to you who you're competing with, which is a fucking bullshit idea anyway, but that's not what this is about. You just feel like you're doing shittier, And it's not true, because the whole point is to produce good work, to make good art. I think if you focus on quality, you will enjoy the process more. You'll get better results, however you define that. And I do think you'll be able to do more in the long run, because you won't necessarily burn yourself out, and you won't burn yourself out because you're enjoying it. You'll be willing to do more. What are some practical things you can do? I think one thing is just to figure out what's important to you. So actually, these vlogs are a really good example. I spend very little time fucking with the camera settings. I don't do too much editing. I don't give a shit because that's not what's important to me. I'm a musician, and this is just something I do kind of on the side. So if I can just click sort of the auto setting button, which is what I've done more or less today, and it looks good enough, then it's good enough. I mean, the ideas that I'm sharing are kind of what's important. But that means that I am focusing on the quality of what is important to me. So for example, I am pretty critical of the ideas that I'm sharing on here, but I'm less critical of like flashy intros and shit, because I don't fucking care. My sister really loves these fucking nail tutorial videos, and she constantly gives me shit about not having a cool intro or not having the right lighting. I don't give a fuck. That's not what's important to me. Another good example, like Blind Guardian, best band on the planet in my opinion. They have almost zero like marketing and social media. They have a fucking Facebook page, but they hardly ever post it on it. They hardly ever post anything on YouTube. But they write the fucking incredible albums. They write incredible music, and that's what's important to them. They're focusing on that quality. So focus on so I would say, look at what's actually important to you on a particular thing, and don't get caught up in what's important to everyone else and everyone else's ideas and bullshit that they're trying to sell you on. In terms of doing that, in terms of actually figuring out what's important to you, there's a thing that people talk about in business called the 80-20 rule. You can Google this, but basically it means that 80% of the outcomes, good or bad, well, okay, 80% of outcomes come from 20% of circumstances or inputs. So looking at a particular project you have, and saying, okay, what's the crucial 20% of that I want to optimize? So like I said, making these videos, the 20% that I give a shit about is quality of the ideas. Everything else is secondary. And then another thing I would say is, take breaks. So like I said, sleeping was a big thing for me for a while. Or not sleeping was a big thing for me for a while. And I feel like you have to kind of go through that. Like there's a certain virtue that comes from pushing through those things, not being lazy. But in the long term, I don't think that that's resourceful. Taking breaks allows you to make progress in the long term and consistently have quality results, rather than just being frantic and chaotic and doing more but having it all be shitty. Okay, I think I've made my point. I have recorded like 20 minutes of video at this point. Hopefully what you're seeing is not that long. Thanks for watching. Please take a look at our Facebook and shit down below. We have a lot of cool stuff actually coming up soon. Like I said, I just bought this camera. We actually shot a cool 4K music video with it for War Gods, so that's going to be posted soon. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Fucking like us on Facebook, Instagram. There's a SoundCloud thing, whatever. I hope this was helpful. See you soon. Bye.